The Brazilian author Paulo Coelho says, life is always a matter of waiting for the right moment to act. But if the right moment never seems to come along, just improvise.
Did he actually say that?
No, okay, he didn't actually say the whole thing, he just said the first part. I added that last bit. Avinash and I first met at an improvisation workshop 4 years ago. Since then, we have gradually come to realize that improv is not just about sharpening your skills at party games, but rather that it is a kind of approach to life. We learn how to constantly stay open to new things, recognize the power of agreement, and to come through, even in a state of pure panic.
That's right.
Sometimes we even learn to be more than normal selves.
Yeah, agree.
It was the 16th of April earlier this year, and we had an improv gig scheduled at 8 where we were supposed to perform as part of a cast. I live in Kandivali.
I live in Goregaon, Oshiwara, the better place. And we decided to head for this improv gig, which was at the Institute of Contemporary Indian Art at Kalagoda on our cycles.
As you might know from one of my previous stories, I love cycling. As much as I love cycling, I've never cycled to an improv show before. You sweat like a pig when you cycle in this city. And nobody likes to be on stage with a sweaty mess.
Yeah. Well, I am newer to cycling, but newer than Nazir. But I have started to really love it. It's not only saves tons of money, but I have lost some serious weight.
Of course you have.
Yes, that is true. Two great things. Now, this was the first time we could cycle to a performance. There was shower there, and we had a change of clothes. So the sweaty pig problem was solved.
Yes.
Though the ride to the venue was tiring, it pumped us with a lot of energy for our performance. The show was one of the best ones we have done. Wouldn't you say
Absolutely. That? We played a lot of games such as Choral Symphony, Time Dash, and Party Quirks.
Yeah. And after saying hi to our friends, some of our friends in the audience, we grabbed a bite and soaked in the positive feedback. As much as we had enjoyed the 2 hours ride through the city, we gave each other that look which says, oh my God, we have to travel back, cycle back.
The time was 10:15 p.m. We got to our locked cycles and I noticed that my light, which attaches to the handlebar, was missing. I checked my bag and I checked the ground, but it wasn't there. I was upset that someone would steal the light right from under the nose of the watchman. Our bikes were parked inside the small gated enclosure to the gallery's performance space. I went up to the watchman and I asked, but he simply stared into space. I guess that's Marathi for, no, I didn't see what happened.
Well, we unlocked our bikes and sat on them. We were ready to head straight and take a right from the junction to exit the Kalagoda and go to the Flora Fountain area. That was to our right. And when out of the blackness, we heard a man scream. We spun around and we heard it again. He was maybe in his 40 or so. He yelled, "Chor, chor," pointing to the left. We froze, like anyone would. Our hands were on the handlebars and we looked at the man who was in distress. I don't know if you have been in a situation like this, but at first there was a question of whether this is really happening or not.
Like when you spill an entirely full cup of coffee on yourself.
Yeah, or you see a coconut fall from a tree just 10 centimeters ahead of you and smash onto the ground. It was something like that. Our hearts was really beating faster. We still couldn't see anything over to where the man was pointing, but then all of a sudden, under the street lamp, we saw a man running as fast as he could. He was tall and he was quick.
Now there comes the time in any friendship when the two parties grow accustomed to understanding each other's non-verbal cues with accurate precision. One expression-filled glance is enough to convey a thought. In improv, we call it group mind or talking with your eyes. And it's pretty amazing. when you worked with someone for such a long time that you actually know exactly what they are thinking about without them having to say a word. Maybe it's like couples who have been living together for a long time or something. We were still frozen. We turned our heads towards each other and gave a stare. This stare implied we had to make a choice. Either we head home or we do something. But I mean, what are we supposed to do? This city is like any other city with shady things happening all the time. It doesn't make sense to try and stop all of them.
Especially if it is none of your business.
Yeah, it's like trying to empty the ocean out with a thimble. And added to that, even if it was a robbery or something, they tell you on the internet never to confront a thief because half the time the culprit is either in need of drugs or in need of a desperate fix.
Yeah, like, you don't want to get yourself into the way of a 200 rupee wallet or the credit cards that can be reissued from the bank. We both knew what we wanted to do. I mean, what we really wanted to do.
But we did the opposite.
Without taking time to put on our helmets, we turned our bike's handle towards the left, stomped on the pedal and went after the guy, running away.
Kala Ghoda Road is rumbling with feet and abuzz with lights, color and noise at the annual 10-day arts festival every February. But it's a whole different scene at around 11 o'clock night in April. It was pretty much deserted except for a few people sleeping on the street and a few other homeless looking for food in the trash bins. The orange glow of the Ondian domes was calming and the temperature was mild and comfortable. I remember thinking that if it wasn't for my heart beating out of my chest, this would have been one of those perfect dramatic South Bombay nights that have a way of getting etched in your memory.
Or a Facebook selfie.
Yes.
So we were on our bikes and we were really pushing ourselves. The first problem was that we had lost sight of the man, of the running man.
Yeah.
But even if we did know where he was, what were we really doing? I mean, like Nazir said, we weren't sure of how dangerous he was. He might wield a knife or worse, pull out a gun. We were pedaling like maniacs when maybe we didn't even want to catch up with him. Maybe what we really wanted was just to make a good effort and come up short. To screech our bikes to a stop like they do in the movies and see him duck into an alley and then go over and comfort the man back at the Kala Ghoda Road, telling him that we tried our best, but he just had too big of a jump on us.
But these are things you think about months later, not when it's all happening. Because when it's all happening, you kind of just follow the momentum forward without thinking, like in an improv scene when you're fully engrossed in the moment. I caught sight of him out of the corner of my eye, the runner, and he was turning onto Shahid Bhagat Singh Road. We were actually accelerating faster than he was, and so we had to slow down and steered behind him as he kept running, glancing back at us every few seconds. I didn't know what to do, so I started screaming, "Chor hai, chor hai!" The man was an Indian. He looked to be African. So Avinash thought it would be a good idea to translate. He yelled the same in English.
Thief! Stop! Thief! Just to instill panic and fear in the chore.
I inched closer to the man and it felt like a movie scene where the hero is trying to jump off a horse onto a moving train or something. Only I was on my bike and I'm just a regular guy, not a cowboy.
Of course not.
I caught a look at his face. It was covered in sweat and completely stricken with panic. I don't think he expected these two random strangers to chase him down on their bikes. Fear was exploding through his eyes. And when I saw this vulnerability on his face, it made me pedal harder. With my light missing, I couldn't see as well as I normally could have, but still, within seconds, we were parallel to each other. He was just to my right, and I had to keep looking at him, ahead of me and at his feet, to avoid getting tangled up together. I pedaled and tried to keep my balance, as I stretched my arm out with the intention of grabbing him by the shirt, ignoring the fact that he was twice the size of me
Both of us.
and thrice the size of Avinash.
Now that I have slimmed down.
The second I was about to have him in my grasp, he slowed down. I felt my heart in my throat. He was going to push me off my bike, sending me flying as momentum carried me forward onto the road, cracking my skull in two. I braced myself and screamed, but he didn't lunge for me. He looked around, stopped, crossed my cycle from behind, and ran off in a diagonal direction.
Yeah. Nazir was in front of me. So I saw all of this from behind. The guy had ended up crossing behind Nazir and in front of me. As he was making his way into a new direction, he tripped and fell. I immediately hit the brakes. The fall exposed the alleged object that the man had robbed as they slipped out of his hand. It was a wallet and a mobile phone. I was ready to get off my bike and hold him down, but he sprang up in a jolt and began running again. This time he was trying to avoid the open road by entering one of the narrower lanes just south of Horniman Circle. I kept pedaling, looking around for help. Anyone, other people, other cars, bus, anything. I couldn't see anything. All I saw were signs with Navy insignia on them. So I shouted, "This is a military area. You cannot escape. Give up." The man immediately took a U-turn and avoided the narrow lane.
Okay, I appreciated Avinash's smart and authoritative approach, even if it was a little overly dramatic. Now people began trickling over to where all the action was. Noticing the commotion, the man started waving his arms wildly. We were confused at first, but then we realized that he was trying to hail a taxi. Avinash and I were hollering at the taxi drivers not to let him in because he was a chore. Thankfully, they heard us and screeched away.
Thankfully. They should have waited and helped us, but they screeched away.
Scampering for a place to escape from us, the man now began running in the direction of the Reserve Bank of India. There were a handful of people spread out at distances from each other on the street. They stared at us, but they were unmotivated to join us, preferring to watch as if it were all happening on a television screen.
That is when I got down from my cycle.
Yes. Noticing the guy panting heavily and slowing down due to exhaustion, Avinash began running after him. I thought of joining him, but I decided to stand and guard the bikes. One robbery for the night was enough.
That was very thoughtful.
Thank you. Just then, the man who first yelped for help crossed the spot where I was standing on a scooter. He followed Avinash and the African and they disappeared into the curve of the street.
I was running, but I was also thinking that maybe this guy had a weapon. If he did, wouldn't he have used it already though? I was about 10 meters behind him, then the guy stopped. I stopped. He said something to me that I didn't understand, and as I was about to yell something back, he flew at me with his fist right on my face. As I screamed and braced for the impact, the man on the scooter along with a few other pedestrians burst onto the scene. There was a moment of distraction, and it was that quarter of a second that gave me the chance to throw my body to the side and avoid the punch. Let's just say it wasn't as graceful as the Matrix.
I'm surprised you were graceful even at all.
I've slimmed down now. The man on the scooter and the other pedestrians quickly surrounded him and grabbed the guy before he could escape or draw out a weapon. One of the pedestrians began suggesting that someone immediately call the police. The man on the scooter calmly said, "I am the police." The crowd shouted at him, and we all looked over at the officer to see what was next. I expected some accusations and frisking, normal police stuff. I waited patiently, but we never found out. And no one seemed to care at all. as I slipped out.
You could have asked the policeman what happened.
I was actually scared. I didn't want to get involved. So, policeman was there, the culprit was there. I think my job was done. I backed out. I was standing there. I just got out and I went to my bike with Nazir. He was just standing around.
I was the one who was standing there. And Avinash caught me up on what had happened. We got to our cycles and began pedaling towards Flora Fountain. Did we just do that? I said with a smile. Avinash was, of course, more serious.
Well, I don't know what we just did. When we didn't actually see a crime happening, and when they caught him, we still didn't see anything stolen. Okay, the mobile and the phone, but the phone and the wallet, but could be his.
You never know.
Yeah. What if the cop was just some racist who want to harass or arrest the guy for no reason?
Yeah, I'd run too if I were
Yeah,
him.
me too.
So we rode on for a few minutes thinking of the distinct possibility that we chased and terrified an innocent man.
We stopped for a chicken sandwich.
I think he must have done something, that guy. And if he did, that makes you a real hero. I told this to Avinash as the car zipped past us, but I don't think he heard me.
No, I did not hear that, but thanks, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, wouldn't you say that is what improvisation is all about?
Yes, it is. You make the best of what you have, be aware of what's happening to make bold decisions.
And to trust the other person enough to be sure that no matter what, you're in this together.
Yeah.
Some nights on stage, you're a firefighter. Some nights, you're a Bollywood villain.
Some nights you are a racist cop's assistant.
And some nights, you're a superhero.
Oh.
You can be anything you want to be.
And you can make lifelong friends doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.